Hello, my name is Jim. Welcome to my Booktube channel about books and reading and stuff. This video will be my October wrap-up and my November TBR, the books I hope to read in November. October wasn't a great month quantity-wise for reading. I only read 4 books. The first of these was 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. N.K. Jemisin had been on my radar for a while. This is the first book of hers I've read, and this was her debut novel. It's the first in the Inheritance trilogy, but you don't have to read all 3 of them. It stands alone perfectly fine. The story is complete, but you can continue with the characters in the other 2 books. The protagonist is Diane, who is a teenager from Dorrit. Dorrit is a tribal area where the people are dark-skinned. Diane is of mixed blood, mixed heritage, and it starts with her being named as one of the 3 heirs to the throne of Skye by her grandfather. The other 2 are her ruthless cousins who want her dead. And Diane goes to the city of Skye, and we discover the city of Skye as she does. It's told in a first-person narrative. It's very good, it's very imaginative. In Skye there are imprisoned gods who are at the beck and call of the leaders of Skye, the royal family of Skye, and people are related, and they have the mark on their forehead to designate how close they are to the throne. It was a very interesting read. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to read some more N.K. Jemisin in the future. For Book Trek 2021 I read Trials and Tribble-ations. This connected the Deep Space Nine characters with the characters of the original Star Trek. It was made as a celebration of the 30th anniversary of Star Trek, and the book really just has all the information, all the action from the episode. There's not a lot added to it. Here I'll link to my review of that. It was a lot of fun. I read one e-arc from NetGalley, The Boy Between Worlds. Book 2, The Novice Collector. This was a mistake on my part. It wasn't really, I'm not the intended audience. It's a middle grade book, and it's book 2. I haven't read book 1, and it begins after a cliffhanger from book 1, so I was a bit lost. I was attracted by the title, The Novice Collector, and the first book was called The Cabinet of Curiosities, which is also an intriguing title for me. I like collecting things, and I'm interested in collecting, and it's also connected with time travel. It's set in Egypt, and they can take hold of these artifacts in the Cabinet of Curiosities and travel back into ancient Egypt. It was an interesting book, but it really wasn't for me. It was for a younger audience. The protagonist, Max, is just 13, and I think as a 13-year-old I'd have enjoyed this, but now as an adult it's too juvenile for me. The final book I read was just a short story, These Alien Skies by C.T. Rwizi, a writer from Zimbabwe. I hadn't read any writers from Zimbabwe before, and this is about a new planet that's being colonized by the African diaspora, and they call it Malcolm XB, and they want to save it from colonization by Europeans because of what happened in the past to Africa with the afflictions of the European colonization of Africa. I started 3 books in October. My Victober book was Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens, but I didn't get very far. I'm about 120 pages in. Yeah, it's interesting, but I got stuck in a circumlocution office, which is a very Kafkaesque place. Well, Mr. Clenham, he addresses himself to the government. The moment he addresses himself to the government, he becomes a public offender. Sir, said Mr. Meagles, in danger of making himself excessively hot again. He ceases to be an innocent citizen and becomes a culprit. He is treated from that instant as a man who has done some infernal action. He is a man to be shirked, put off, browbeaten, sneered at, handed over by this highly connected young or old gentleman to that highly connected young or old gentleman and dodged back again. He is a man with no rights in his own time or his own property, a mere outlaw, whom it is justified to get rid of anyhow, a man to be worn out by all possible means. That's very Kafkaesque. I think Kafka was a fan of Dickens and may have drawn something from that. We see as proto-Kafkaesque books like Dostoevsky, The Double. There's a lot of the Kafkaesque in Little Dorrit. I also started The Stand on Audible. I wanted to try an audiobook to see what the experience was like. The Stand is a very long audiobook. It's over 47 hours long. I'm now 3/4 of the way through it. I listen to it as I walk around the city, which is a bit bizarre because it's about a deadly plague, a flu epidemic, a flu pandemic, and we're in the middle of a flu pandemic now. Luckily not so deadly as the one in The Stand. But I wander around, see people wearing masks, and if somebody sneezes, it can be a bit disconcerting. I will be doing a video when I finish The Stand about my experience using Audible. I also started The Devil in the Red Dirt by Michael P. Smith. This is an arc I got from Book Sirens. It's Australian noir. We follow two broken detectives who are trying to investigate the murder of two Aboriginal children. This is set in 1963, before Australian Aboriginals were even Australian citizens. That came in 1967. So there's a lot of racism in the book because of the situation, and it starts in New South Wales, where the police is corrupt to the core, and there's a lot of drug addiction, prostitution, alcoholism in the areas of Darlinghurst and King's Cross in Sydney. Harris is a tough guy, but he's a drug addict, and he was the right-hand man of Ronnie Prince, who was a gangland leader in Sydney, as well as Harris working for the police force. He's sacked from the police force, but he still wants to get to the bottom of this case, and he's joined by Lescott, who was working in the Missing Persons Bureau, who's a functioning alcoholic and is being damaged because his wife and his daughter have disappeared, and for a couple of weeks he didn't even notice. He thought they'd gone to the wife's sisters, and the story takes them from Sydney across Australia to Adelaide and then to Alice Springs to try to find out what's behind these missing persons and these murders. My November TBR includes a lot of my October TBR because I only managed to finish 4 books in October, and I had 10 books on my TBR list. November is non-fiction November, so for that, Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World by Jack Weatherford is one of the books I want to read for non-fiction November. I'm fascinated by this character of Genghis Khan, who commanded the largest joined-up empire the world has ever known, much bigger than the Roman Empire by area. So I'm looking forward to this. Also for non-fiction November, I have this book about Turner by Michael Bockemuhl in the Taschen series. And I've got an e-arc of The Library by Andrew Pettigrew and Arthur de Wedouin, about the history of the library and about people's collections. This is from NetGalley. Also my TBR from carrying over from October is The Good Thief's Guide to Venice. I got this for the cover. I have no idea much about Chris Ewan or the story. And I got The Vanishing Half by Brit, which I've seen a lot on Booktube, and this got the prize, Goodreads prize for historical fiction last year, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Also, I've got ebooks of Gilgamesh, the King by Robert Silverberg. Robert Silverberg is a science fiction author, but this is historical fiction about Gilgamesh, which is our earliest work of literature. And I've also got an arc, The Botanist's Guide to Parties and Potions, and I've downloaded Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, another favourite of Booktube. So that's my November TBR. If you like this video, you can like and subscribe below, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.